So Ronald Koeman has been sacked. The Dutchman is the next Premier League manager to suffer the chop this season after a horrendous start to the campaign with Everton, made all the worse due to the amount of money spent at Goodison Park over the summer. Despite all the expensive incomings, Koeman has been unable to get his side firing in both the Premier League and the Europa League, with Everton currently occupying the relegation zone as well as picking up just 1 point from a possible 9 in Europe. After a great first season with the club, and don't forget how well Everton actually did last season, it's very sharp gone sour for Koeman, and the Everton owners have acted quickly and are now on the lookout for a new manager. So who could be next in the Goodison Park dugout? Here are 6 possibilities, and no David Moyes, you're not one of them. First up, we've got Marco Silva. According to the bookies, Watford's Marco Silva is one of the leading candidates for the vacancy at Goodison Park, and it's easy to see why when you look at how well Watford have done this season. Silva has been a revelation ever since he arrived in the Premier League, almost guiding Hull City to safety last season despite arriving when the club were in a perilous position, and now he's got the Hornets flying near the top of the table, despite some people suggesting they were relegation candidates. Obviously going to Everton would be a bigger move for Silva, but would he really leave his project at Watford so soon? The Portuguese manager is obviously highly sought after with how his Watford side are performing, but it seems far too soon for him to jump ship, despite the wishes of some Everton fans and childhood supporter Jamie Carragher, who endorsed Silva to take over from Koeman. Will Silva be next? Don't bank on it, but you never know. Next up, we've got Ryan Giggs. The former Manchester United winger has made it very clear that he wants to get into management and has expressed his interest in the vacancies of both Everton and Leicester. So with his hat firmly in the ring, does Giggs actually have any right to become the Everton manager? Sure, he has an incredible resume as a player, but he's still yet to get his big break in management, other than a brief caretaker spell at Manchester United. With the position that Everton are in, it seems highly unlikely that they bring in a rookie like Giggsy, but a young fresh manager and an unknown quantity could work in their favour. However, the odds are still quite long on Giggs becoming the next Everton boss, and it's easy to see why. Next up, we've got David Unsworth. The man who's been put in charge of Everton while they search for a new manager, David Unsworth could certainly use this as an audition to get the job permanently. We've seen multiple instances of caretaker managers impressing so much that they get the job on a permanent basis, for better and mainly for worse, so David Unsworth has to be considered as a candidate for the Everton job. If the Toffees are after a short-term solution, then Unsworth could be the man to fill in between now and the summer while they assess their options, but inexperience could count against him. However, Unsworth certainly knows the club and has worked with the under-23 side as manager for the past 3 years. He'd be a very safe appointment, although maybe uninspiring for supporters despite his affiliation with the club. Next up, it's Thomas Tuchel. The German seems to have been linked with every Premier League job possible since he left Dortmund in the summer, but while Southampton, Palace and West Ham, who didn't even have a vacancy, didn't take Tuchel's fancy, the size of Everton could certainly entice the 44-year-old. Tuchel has impressed in the Bundesliga and did fairly well at Dortmund, but was unable to break the Bayern Munich monopoly, finishing second and then third in his 2 seasons at Dortmund. The German would be the marquee manager that the Everton fans are craving, but should be wary of the circumstances in which he left Mainz and then Dortmund, seemingly falling out with his players and not connecting with fans, similar to both Koeman and Roberto Martinez. Tuchel could bring instant success to Goodison Park, but there might not be longevity in him. Next, we've got Carlo Ancelotti. The man that Everton fans are all dreaming of, and the man that is making everyone else laugh at how optimistic Toffees fans are about their chances of getting the Italian gaffer. Could Carlo Ancelotti actually be the Everton manager? It would be a step down for the former Premier League winner, who was recently relieved of his duties as Bayern Munich manager. The list of teams that Ancelotti's managed is just a who's who of European juggernauts, so it's certainly far-fetched to think he'd end up joining Everton as they occupy the bottom 3. But think of it like this, Newcastle were able to entice Champions League winner Rafa Benitez to St James's Park when the club was heavily embroiled in a relegation battle, so why couldn't Everton dream of bringing in Ancelotti, a team with rich history, money to spend and a lot of time to turn the season around? And finally, we've got Sean Dyche. The current favourite to be the next Everton boss, the bookies all seem to have Sean Dyche as the next man to be sitting in the Everton dugout. The man with the most gravelly voice in probably the history of mankind, Sean Dyche has been working wonders at Burnley, and be hyped to the moon and back if it was a foreign manager playing his less than sexy brand of football. But Dyche now seems to be getting the recognition, which is why he's the favourite for the job, based on his performances at Turf Moor, as well as being more accessible than the likes of Ancelotti and Tuchel. Would Dyche take the job? It would be hard to say why not, but would he really be the right man? His style of play works at Burnley, a team full of hard-working lads, no megastars or controversial players, But would that work at Everton, or is Dyche's style of play only suited to lower teams in the division? He won't inspire the Everton fans too much, but he'd probably stop the rot going on at Goodison Park right now. So those are 6 managers who could replace Ronald Koeman at Everton. Let us know who you think it'll be in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe.